February 23rd, 2024. I'm Kimberly from Fat Quarter Shop, and today we're just going to go over all the things I've been working on, and I'm going to talk a little bit about why I pick my projects, how I pick my projects, and just give you a little bit of tips. And you guys can comment as I'm talking and let me know if you're sewing along with this project also, and if there's anything you want to share with other people in the chat about what you're working on and any tips that you have. I'm sure other people in the chat would appreciate it. So we're going to start with Moda Blockheads. So this one right here is a free pattern that is being offered every Wednesday on the Moda Fabrics blog. And in that, there are instructions each week for a 6-inch and 12-inch block. And this round is the second round of Moda Blockheads 5, and it started January 3rd, and it goes all the way till July 31st, and it's going to be enough blocks for a large sampler quilt. I'm going to leave this like right here. So the first block of this month that I worked on is Glimmer, and this is designed by Janet Clare. And if you look at this block right here, it has a lot of white in it, and I just kind of thought it was too plain, so I added 3.5-inch squares to my corners just to add interest and so that it wouldn't be so white. So that was my 3.5-inch squares. The second block that I worked on is designed by Melody Miller, and this is called Favorite Vintage Star. And I've never made a block like this, so I made some changes. Of course I did, right? So the first thing is I'm going to show you two pop-ups of my images. The first one, that's how my units look when I put them together. And you can see that I made that center part where you cut the 6-inch square, I made it 6.5 inches so that it is much bigger. Those outside squares I made into rectangles so that I could trim down, and then I wasn't sure how to get it exactly perfect, so I drew a line that you can see, and that's 1/2 inch away so that when I lined it up exact. I can't remember exactly how I did it, but I did some kind of weird math there to get it exact. And that's just the honest truth. I do weird things when I'm sewing that I cannot remember. But this next photo will show you what my attempt was. It was to make it much bigger, trim down to get an accurate result. And then when you look at this block right here, I was a little bit worried about getting this to line up. And so what I did is I added a pink square, and my block looks different, and you can tell the reason why is I did all that funny math, and you can see these are bigger than these. So whatever I did, it made it exactly 12 inches, but it didn't come out the way the block was supposed to, but I still think it's cute. And by adding that probably made this a little bit more obvious, but that's okay. I'd rather have a block exactly 12.5 than not. So that was block 2 of this month. And then Star Bloom by Vanessa Gertson was the third block that released this month. This fabric collection I'm using is Flower Girl by My So Quilting Life. It's her first fabric collection with Moda. This one, I use square and a square paper. So I use square and a square paper for all of these outside pieces. And I did, if you look at the stripe, I made sure all the stripes go the same direction. And I'm really happy that I have square and a square paper now, just because this is like one thing that I could never get right. And I have figured out how to press open using that, using the paper. Jillian says, it's not weird math, it's girl math. Yeah, it's something. Sometimes I do things and I don't even know how or what or why. This is Sparkle by Crystal Manning. This is block 8 in the series. Now this one, I did have a lot of trouble coloring this block. And I color all of these blocks in electric quilt before I sew. And I'm really trying to get away from quilts that have so much white. I just really want my quilts to have a little bit more color. So I added a little bit here, but I'm not sure I love the coloring of this block, but I went round and round. I probably worked with the coloring for an hour, and this is what I came up with. And so if you ever struggle with a block, just know that it's normal. And it's just kind of one of those that I just put it off, and then finally was like, okay, I have to sew something. Now, if you look at all of these together, what I'm trying to do color-wise I'm trying to do 2 colors in each block. Obviously, this one didn't work. So I'm trying to, not have, this collection has like browns, peaches, greens, yellows. So I'm trying to make it where when your eye goes to a different block, you're gonna see different color combos. And I do always press open. That's just a new thing. There are lots of flying geese. Do you press open when using the 4 at a time method? I do. I'm just in the habit now of pressing everything open. And the reason why, it takes longer, but my blocks are flatter. And I feel like with the clappers, it gets even flatter. But also, when I'm sewing, I'm always doing a million things at once. So when I'm sewing, I'm cutting, I'm piecing, I might be doing 10 blocks at a time. I don't want to have to stop and read the instructions and see which way I'm supposed to press. And if you look at some patterns like this, there is no arrow to tell me where to press. If there's no arrow, I'm not reading any of this. I don't read any instructions for anything. I figure it out myself and do it because that's just like the part of my personality I cannot give up. But if there's no arrows, I don't want to have to think, and I don't want to have to sit here and draw the arrows. That would take longer than me just pressing open. So that is Moda Blockheads 5 and Flower Girl collection, and the background here I'm using is from the collection. And this is, I don't think it's in stores yet, but it should be soon. And then what I did is I have a list of all the blocks that are coming out. And so as I make the blocks, I am just checking them off. And I am not sure how much fabric you need for that. I just started with a Flower Girl Fat Quarter Bundle. I started with 5 yards of a background, which is 31736-21. And then we'll see if I need to add more, I will. I haven't seen all of the blocks, so I haven't done all the math. And then what I try to do by starting with a Fat Quarter Bundle is in the end, it's gonna end up making me use fabrics that I haven't used over here. And it'll kind of force me to use all the fabrics in the bundle. The next sew along, please show us how to press open the seams of the square to square paper. Yes, I can do that. And I can also, I think we're gonna do a video that is gonna be tips on making all of the paper be able to press open. And we're gonna do square to square and the starburst because we've gotten a lot of questions and I think I can do that. Now, my stitch length I use is usually a 1.5. I have not decided on a layout for Moda Blockheads yet. Okay, Shine Together is a sew along that Riley Blake is hosting. I am using the same fabric that they used here. It's slightly different. The whites or the low volumes are Hush Hush, and the darker fabrics are Paparazzi. And so I just started with a Fat Quarter Bundle of each. And I'm gonna show you my blocks. Now, this is a sew along where in the inside of these blocks, designers are coming up with different ones. So I'm gonna show you the ones that have come out this month. If you wanna see the others that I made in January, that's in January's video. So this is Fabric L, and you can see it's right here. And normally it was just an hourglass block in there. And then Cotton and Joy came up with this block, and I just used the same fabrics as called for in the pattern. So that's purple and let's see, pressed open, Oh, these I didn't press open. That was a different day, I guess. The woolly pressing bar, I don't know when that'll be in stock. That is always hard to get. That company just doesn't refill the orders very fast, and I'm not sure why. This is the Gather Around block by Cindy Cloward, the owner of Riley Blake Fabrics, and this one right here is this block right here. And if you can see, this has red, orange, yellow, green on the outside. So what I decided to do was use those colors on the inside and then just keep a red on the outside. So I kind of kept it the same, kind of changed it. And this is block T. And this one is, there are 3 a month on the website, or 4. It depends how many Wednesdays there are, or Tuesdays. That's a different one. Okay, let me just stop talking. This is Pickle Barrel by Amy Smart. And so this one right here is you. So this one is right here. And so what I did, this has a brown and it has these 2 colors. So I just made the outsides all the same, and I did that on all my blocks so that I could do the 4 at a time method, because that's how I 2 Riley Blake designers release an inside block each week. And so these are the ones I picked from because there are more blocks than there are designers. So these are the ones I made this month. This is Fabric Star U. And then Crossroads by Material Girl Quilts. This one is in. So this one was right here. So this one I just used the same colors that they had on the inside. So basically I just figured out what I thought looked best with what color is here. And this is the cover of the pattern. It's called Shine Together. It's completely free on Riley Blake's website. These blocks are also free on their website, and Riley Blake's website has a section for sew-alongs, quilt-alongs, and so you just go there and you can find everything. This one is has been a little bit of a challenge just because I don't usually work with low volumes and I don't usually work with solids. This is a polka dot, paparazzi is a polka dot, but it reads solid. So I kind of have a hard time with those colors, but I did it. And here are all my blocks together. And so you can see each block has flying geese on the outside. And like I said, I did the 4 at a time method, and I did all of the flying geese at one time. So that's why I just thought it'd be easier just to do the 4 at a time method. And that is Shine Together. And just keep your questions coming in. I'm going to answer them. So that is Shine Together. Now we're going to go to Kona Color of the Year, and this one, February is right here in the picture. And here's the printout on Robert Kaufman's website. Now this is the sew along that of course I changed and complicated because that's what I do with my life. And that's actually serious. I overcomplicate everything. So this one is where Robert Kaufman has a charm pack to go with each month of the year. This is February's charm pack. Now you can see I have a lot left over. The reason I have so many left over is I ended up buying a second one of the February charm pack for this outside border. And to make this work with the charm pack, it doesn't exactly work because you need the full 5 inches to create these half square triangles. And obviously you could not do a flying geese because with the charm pack you only have a 5-inch square. But being industrious like I am, I still starched because I love to starch. What you do is you use a scant seam. So see right here, it's going to be hard to see, but these are not 1/4 inch seams. These are like an 1/8 or 1/16, because what you do is you cut the charm pack on the diagonal and then you trim down with a Creative Grids 4.5-inch square ruler. And so if you're trying to make this from a charm pack, that's my tip, is scant, like a double scant, like a 1/8 inch seam. Now, that might bug you because, you know, it might be it might make you nervous, but that's what I did. So this is February. Kona pattern. The temperature quilt that is shown right here, I'm going to show it to you next month. So I've already shown you January's, and basically in March I'll show you February. In April I'll show you March, etc. Because what I'm doing is I'm piecing this at the end of the month, so I haven't made progress. Okay, this is Vintage Sunburst Quilt Along. This one is using the 12-inch paper and the 8-inch paper. The 12-inch paper is still in stock. The 8-inch paper will be in stock in March. The printer was just waiting on the paper. And this one I'm using Lori Holt's Mercantile Collection. And all of these blocks were colored by Lori, and we put them on the blog where you can print them out. So what I do is I keep all of these in my book, printed out. I pull them out. For each month, I need to make 2 of each size. So what I do is I pull them out, and I give Will my fabric. So a lot of these quilts, I'm going to start talking about my kids because my kids are really starting to help me make these quilts. So with this one, Will laid out every single fabric according to this, and then I sewed them together. And so there is a way to sew these and press open. I'm going to do a tutorial on it, but I can kind of tell you what I do. And you can see right here, there's no lump. And when I first started, I couldn't get that lump to go away, but now I figured out how. And what I'll show you is each page, you need 4 pages to make 1 block. So each unit is 1 page. So what you do, for example, on this one, this right here section goes right here because it's reverse. This section goes here, and this section goes here because it's reverse. What I did is I would make each section. Then I trimmed. After I pressed, I trimmed the first line here, the first line here, the first line here, the first line here, etc. I did not trim anything on the outside. Pulled the paper off, then I pressed open, and then I had all the paper off, and I just sewed together using pins and a 1/4 inch seam, not using the paper for this seam. It makes it a lot easier. When I'm done, I use the Creative Grids 12.5-inch square ruler, put it on top. Because I have not trimmed the outsides, I can trim it down. So definitely can do a tutorial on that. It took me quite a bit to figure that out, but I'm always trying to figure out how to make something perfect. That's just my nature, and I think I've achieved it. So super happy about that. This binder right here is on our site. It's a Lori Holt binder. Ashley can give you a link to it. Okay, and keep your questions. I'm going to answer them. Next is the same fabric collection, Mercantile. And this one is the sew along that's got some applique, and so we're going to talk about it. Okay, this, when you go to Riley Blake's side, when you go to Riley Blake's website, there are 2 pages to download. This is your sew along guide that gives you information on cutting for each fabric in your kit. You can get your kit at Fat Quarter Shop. This is your block guide, and this has the cutting, but not the piecing instructions. You go to Lori Holt's blog, which is beinmybonnetco.blogspot.com, and she each Monday and Friday gives you information on how to make the blocks. The quilt is made up of 25 blocks. So 5 by 5. I'm going to start showing them to you. I have made, so for this, Lori has the sew along where you make 2 blocks a week. I'm doing mine different because, like I said, if you're struggling with the centers, Laura, I trim off some fabric in the back. So I'll have to do a video on that block soon. So what I decided for me for efficiency is I would make all 25 blocks. Now these blocks do not have the borders. I'm going to show you that in a second, but I have made all 25 blocks. So I'm just going to show them to you, and they're in no particular order. I basically cut all of these and made all of these blocks all at once. Anything that had foundation paper, Emma sewed for me. So she's great at foundation paper. So I have made all 25 of these blocks. And so, you know, they don't have to be perfect though, and I'm going to show you why in a second. I did make mine perfect though. I did make mine bigger and trimmed down like I always do. And this is the Mercantile collection, and there are different backgrounds used on each block. So that's some of the blocks. And then I'm going to show you a big boo-boo that I made. And I told Lori about it. I was like so embarrassed to have to tell her. And she was like, "Why did you do that?" I'm like, "Because I'm crazy. Sometimes I do crazy things." This took quite a bit of time, by the way. This was not a one-day project. Maybe 4 or 5 days. It took me quite a bit to get this done. This was not easy. Now, also on this, Will pulls the fabric. So I'll show him the block. He pulls the fabric. I cut it. If it's got foundation paper, Emma sews the paper. Will pulls the paper off. So we have a whole little production going in my house. So, okay, so those are the blocks, 24 of the blocks. The other block is here. So month 1, my plan, it started in February. I made all the blocks. In March, I'm gonna make all of the 25 patches. And Emma's gonna make them because I cut them bigger and trimmed them down after I assembled everything. So she's gonna do all of these, and Will's gonna lay out all the fabric. So that I won't even really have to do. I'll just have to press. All I have to do is press. So this one, I'm deciding if I need to remake. I wanted to just make one, which was the first one, just to see how it went. It's not so bad now, but I used way too much glue. So it's not supposed to be that stiff. See, you can see the glue. It's not supposed to be that stiff. It's way too stiff. I used way too much glue. You can see the glue. So I am planning to redo this one. And what I decided to do is I just wanted to see, could I do it? And like I said, this has borders. You add borders, which I haven't done yet. You have to watch her first video on it, and you use the interfacing and her ruler, and then you put this on, and I hand stitched it. But I am going to redo this one because it is just too much glue. But I did hand stitch it. I used Aurifil 80 weight color 2000, which I had in my stash. I am trying to decide though, since I'm going to redo this one, I'm not going to throw it away. I'm probably going to turn it into a pillow or put it in a picture frame, or I'm going to do something with it. I'm not going to throw it away. But I think in a finished quilt, you obviously don't want this glue. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do this one again. I'm gonna go ahead and use applique pins because I do not trust myself with the glue. I was actually not in the best mood. And so I was like, oh, just whatever. I'll just glue whatever. And then I was like, wait a minute, you just ruined the whole block. And that happens. And I should have walked away. I was not in a good mood and I should have just walked away and I didn't. And so I was just like, oh, I'll just slap some glue on here. Well, that worked out great. So I'm going to redo this one. I might have to buy more fabric because or I might have to switch some of the fabric because I might not have enough because these pieces are so big. But I think what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to machine applique them down instead of hand, just because I think I can get a pretty stitch on the outside. So I'll give you more information next month. I'm basically going to redo this and we can talk more about it next month. This sampler quilt, Minna wants to know if it's intermediate, and I think it is intermediate to advanced. Can this pattern be done with layer cakes? Probably not. Some of these pieces are really big. I would say probably not unless you're going to change up a lot of the fabric. How do you know how much bigger so you can trim down a block? That really just comes with experience, just a ton of experience. But even with all my experience, look, I made a block that's like a brick. So that is Mercantile Quilt Along. The next one I worked on is, and you can see that I cheated, I've already made all the blocks. This is the 2024 A Quilting Life Block of the Month. So this is a free block of the month provided by Sherry McConnell of A Quilting Life. She's done this for probably 4 or 5 years. So I drew mine out. I changed it. The outside is supposed to be regular flying geese, but I just wanted to change it up. So what I did is I'm doing the method that was used in month 1 for all of my outside. Oh, it's going the wrong way. I colored this in electric quilt. And what I'm doing is on the outside, I'm using one background, and on the inside, I'm using another. This is the Strawberry Lemonade collection by Sherry and Chelsea. Free program. It includes blocks in 2 sizes and a finishing option that will come out in December. So this is my block 2. I am doing the 8-inch block. So this year, last year she did 6 and 12. This year she's doing 8 and 16. So I decided to do the 8-inch size. I used triangle paper for these right here, and I just use probably the 4 and a 4 method or and I pressed open. So this is a Quilting Life Block of the Month, and I'm using if you want to know the SKUs I'm using, I talked about it in last month's video, but I'm just using the reds and these 2 backgrounds. Okay, this next one, I need a peek. Yeah, okay. So this is the Riley Blake Designs Block Challenge that started, it's January 9th. It ends May 28th. And these are the blocks I made this month. These are completely free blocks on the Riley Blake Design website. And like I said, you go to the Quilt Along section. These were all colored by Lori. And so you can follow and see that I'm just copying what she did. And this one, what I did is I just made, this is written as 2 flying geese. You can see the flying geese here. I didn't do that. I did half square triangles, added a corner because I thought mine would come out more accurate that way. And this right here is written, oh, this is the one that I made that's different. Yeah, this one. I did this one the same. This one right here. So I just didn't want that seam. So I just figured out the math. We do have cheat sheets on how to make hourglass blocks, and so I use that cheat sheet. And this is Framed Star, designed by Fran Gulick. The next one is Dazzle by Christy Lee. This one was super easy because triangle paper, Emma sews it. So what I do is I can just pile up just stacks and stacks of design boards. At one point I had my entire closet cleaned out of design boards, and she just comes in and she does it for like, I'll just tell her, go until you're done, and she'll just say, okay, tell me how many I have, and then she does them until they're done. So this is Dazzle by Christy Lee. This one I made a mistake on. This is Bloom Where You Are Planted. What did I do here? I did something. Oh. Right here. I don't know why I did that, but there's some, oh, see, I stitched on that line. I don't know why I did, and it left little marks, and so I just redid these. This block, my notes say this block was a struggle bus. Took me 3 hours to complete it. My perfectionist nature got in the way. I have leftover pieces to show my mistakes, and I have a ton of wasted fabrics from this. I don't know. I think it's because this right here, I've never made something where you put a rectangle and a rectangle together to make a half square triangle, but I wanted mine to be perfect, so I just kept redoing it, is basically. And this is why, basically when I sewed these together, I can tell what I did. When I sewed these together, I sewed this, but it's not supposed to be this. So basically I was just making it wrong. So, you know, there are some blocks that, I mean, it looks pretty, I love it. It just took me longer. So I'm going to show you all three of those together. Again, this is the Riley Blake 2024 Block Challenge. The fabric is Mercantile, and I'm following the Lori Holt coloring. And this is a completely free pattern on Riley Blake's site. The next quilt is Millie's Dresses, and I do keep notes of where I'm at on things, and so you can see, you're going to see a lot of stuff is done, and I have notes because I sew ahead of time. But on this one, I'm behind. So this one is the one that I made in the video. This week I was supposed to have a row 1 done, right? And then next month or next week, next month I'm supposed to have row 2 done. So I am hoping to do this one this weekend. Now, with a block like this, there is no triangle paper. So my kids can't really help me. My son can lay out the fabrics, but I cannot have Emma sew 1/4 inch seams. She's not there yet. So this is one, the reason it's not done is because my kids couldn't help me. And so I saved it. And she has dance competition on Saturday. And so she's not gonna be able to help me anyway. So I'm behind on this one. So if you're behind, don't worry, I'm behind too. Okay, then we're gonna skip a bunch of pages. Okay, this is Mint Inspired. And guess who sewed every one of these blocks? Emma. Every single one of these blocks. I'm gonna keep them in order just for Jordan. He asked me to keep them in order. I'm gonna keep them in order. There's a reason. Okay. So these are my blocks. Emma sewed all of these. What I did is I had already cut the strips, and she just would sew. I would press, I would hand it back to her. And I showed you guys some tips where on each of the different boards, when you're making 2 of the boards, you just put notes, and I would just put the note on the board, and we got this done in a day. So all of my blocks are done. They're just not sewn together. So this is using the Mint Inspired bundle that uses the 2024 Color of the Year by Robert Kaufman, and that is now back in stock, and the bundles are now back in stock. Okay, so I'm putting it back in order. And this one you can't press open. This is one of those papers you cannot press open. So just a note for that. And this is a free pattern on Fat Quarter Shop's site. And you do use the 6-inch courthouse step paper though. Okay, now we're gonna move to things that are no longer in my book. This book is so, I have to do this because it's got so many pages in it. So these are actually the projects I started last year. And those are listed over here. And some of these are finished. So I'm very excited to show you the blocks finished. So Scrappiness is Happiness is a Lori Holt book that I made Scrappy Strings out of. And that quilt in the book shows an 8x10 layout. And this is the second one I've made. I am going to do this one 8x10, so I made 100 blocks. So this is, let's see, this is the Back to School collection by Stacy Itsu. This is Georgia by Brenda Riddle. Kitty Christmas by Urban Chicks. Willow's Farm by Deb Strain. And Enchantment by Sweet Fire Road. I only had 5 left. So this is done. Teresa's going to piece it together. And then she's going to add the super wide binding from the Miss Rosie video. And this uses the Lori Holt interfacing. And I am going to start very soon my Scrappy Strings 3, 4, 5, 6. And the reason I say 3, 4, 5, 6 is I always want to change things up. This one I'll probably auction off or make a wish or something like that. The ones I'm going to do in the future are going to be more themed by designer, and it's going to be where I'm making several quilts at one time, but I want to save that info for a future live stream. So this one, all my blocks are done. Super, super excited. Using those same collections, our free rail fence pattern. I only needed a couple blocks, so I got these all finished. I haven't decided how I'm going to lay this out, but I think I'm going to do where we alternate. I did press all of these open. I mean, it's just a rail fence. I don't need to be that complicated. But what I decided on this quilt is it was easier to just put a 108 on the backing because it's pretty big. So I sewed a label into a rail fence, and obviously the label, see my sides, they're not the same size as this, but it's fine. So it's not an exact rail fence, but it's close. And I was trying to find something that matched the color of the fabric I had left. And so when Teresa pieces this one together, we're going to put this in the bottom right. And then I won't have to put a label on the back. So my rail fence is all done. This one I made 144 blocks. So I'm going to do this layout, this large lap where it's 12 by 12. And I will just try to, I'll try to not put these next to each other because they're the same collection so that it comes out really scrappy. And then last year's Star Streams, last year's Scrappy quilt is called Star Streams. It's a free pattern on Fat Quarter Shop. And I only had a couple left to make. So I got those done. Same collections I showed you previously. On this quilt, I did use the same background throughout. It's a coriander seeds background. And then I ended up putting a label in one block so that that could go on the bottom right or somewhere so that I could just throw a 108 back on it and not have to worry about piecing a backing, because the weekend that I finished this is the same weekend I finished several other quilts. And it's the same weekend I finished the Mint Inspired, and that has a pieced backing. So I will show you that pieced backing in a future live stream, but sometimes when I'm doing pieced backings, I might not have enough fabric at home or whatever, and I just put my label on the front of the quilt. This will probably get auctioned off for charity also. The 2023 Designer Mystery I have made all of the blocks in 12, 6, and 3. And here are my blocks. On this one, I made all of my hourglass bigger. So we can show that photo, which is the second photo. So this is a great way to make hourglass blocks bigger. The next one. So that's just, I always make mine bigger and trim down. That's what I always do. So that's one thing I did. And then the next thing you'll see is the corner. So this corner right here, I'm going to show you. I made this bigger, and then when my quilt is done, I just trim down. That's how I get, that's an example of me making it crazy. And also with this, I made all of these directional. All go the same direction. Now with this one, I don't know what I'm going to do with the finished quilt. I don't know if I'm going to, I think I'm going to make one of them into a finished quilt. I don't know what I'm going to do. Maybe I'll just auction all these off. I really don't know. I just made them for fun. I didn't really make them to make a quilt. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to answer questions before we go on to the next thing. Michelle asks, is there a downside to pressing open? How did the pressing to one side become the rule? Are the quilt seams not as strong if pressed open? Okay, so the first time I went to Lori Holt's house, I realized she pressed a lot of things open, and I was like, she's crazy. Why would she do that? The seams are gonna be not as strong. So number one, the seams are not as strong. That is true. But you have to use a tiny stitch length. So whatever a normal stitch length is on your machine, you just drop it down. And when you're ironing, as long as the edges are not coming out, then you're fine. Now, if you're somebody who doesn't get a 1/4 inch accurate and you have to rip stitches out a lot, it might not be the best idea, because then you're trying to rip out these little tiny stitches. So there is definitely a downside. You're not supposed to stitch in the ditch also for quilting a quilt that your seams are pressed open so that your seams don't pop. So for me, I like to make things challenging. I don't want to go into my quilt room and just be like, oh, I can get this done in 5 minutes. That is not what I want to do. I want to go in, I want to be challenged. I want to make my blocks perfect. It's like a whole thing in my head of how I want it to go. So I complicate things. It's just what I do. But I press everything open now if I can. And I would only recommend it if you're advanced. Ida May says she messed up and had to piece the corners of a border on a baby quilt. I'm so upset. Can you think of a way to cover it up? No, no, probably not. I think had to piece the corners. No, unless you could if you could round the corner or something, like with a round ruler, but I don't know any other way. Where'd I get my shirt? Okay, I got it at a local place. Do you want to look at the tag? Hold on, Jordan, turn the thing off. What's the tag say?
Sister Mary.
Sister Mary. I don't know. I got it at some local place. Funny story. I took my daughter. Well, we had to go somewhere. I don't want to say where. She doesn't want me to talk about it. And so next to it was the little boutique, and we'd never been there. And I was like, oh, let's go in there. And so I was like trying on clothes. And I was like, Emma, why don't you try on some clothes? And she's like, Mom, these are mom clothes. And then she would hand me stuff in the dressing room and be like, can you just buy this and then I'll just wear it? I was like, you said it was mom clothes? No. It was so funny. Marianne Smith, when I do the 4 at a time flying geese method, sometimes they turn out perfect. Sometimes they have a fabric raw edge to the point where the sky overlaps. What I would do, use the flying geese handout that we provide for free and use those measurements instead of the other measurements you see online other places, because I added 1/2 inch to that and that will stop happening. Marion, in your notebook, are the numbered project dividers part of the Lori Holt pages, or did you find them somewhere else? Those were the little pink pages right here. These little pink pages we got on Amazon, and I have horrible handwriting, and so Brittany drew these little numbers for me. So these were just Amazon. Cheryl said, have you ever thought about adding a thin sashing between the string blocks so the blocks pop more? I haven't thought about that. I think it might take away from the scrappiness. Okay, this is a great question, Diane. Piece and Quilt Sampler. Do you have exact dates and times of the sew-alongs? I can tell you it will start in April. Are Susan and Lisa doing it at the same time? Yes. And I haven't started that one yet, but Jordan's gonna do something really fun. I'm going to set up where I'm going to make that quilt and he's gonna time lapse it or something to that effect. So, Tisha says, I just finished my tip for the jelly snowflake and I'm completely in love with it. The top for my jelly snowflake. How could I adjust the pattern block sizes to make the quilt bigger? I don't know off the top of my head. Will you be getting the Robin Bobbin quilt kit? I don't know what that is. Okay, so now I've shown you my progress. Now I'm going to show you some of Teresa's progress. So this quilt right here is the Quilted Witch, and we're currently doing a sew along. And we got requests for us to keep showing the sew along progress when we're in the middle of a sew along. So this one I made the sample for. So I can't show you my progress because I already showed you my quilt. So we had Teresa sew along and make it so that we could still feature it in the video. So this is made by Teresa. And then also we have another sew along going on called Shine Bright. It is from the Bonnie and Camille quilt book. And we recolored this, the sampler, in the Lighthearted collection. And so this sew along has been going on quite a while. It started in November. It's going to end in this October. So these are the blocks that Teresa made so that you could see in person where we are on that sew along. Now, things to look forward to. Moonbeams, our charity. This kit just shipped out to you guys. You will start getting it next week. I think it's shipping today. And next Friday, I want you to join me. I will have a pre-recorded live stream of how to make this block. It's going to be pre-recorded because I am going to be in Nashville, and we'll also have a guest featured that day to talk about Stronger Together. So that's what you can look forward to next Friday. This is what the backing set looks like. It's a really fun backing set. This is what the quilt box looks like. So this is the final quilt box because it just came. And then the paper, if you want to have the foundation paper. Now, for people who already have some foundation paper at home, like if you already collect triangles on a roll, I wouldn't buy this. This is for people who just want to try it and haven't, you know, they just want it to be easily accessible so they don't have to think. So you can look forward to that next Friday. Another sew along we have coming this summer is going to be called the Spooky and Sweet Mystery Quilt Along. So the only thing I can tell you is that we are releasing, we are pre-selling the quilt kits. So right now you can pre-order the quilt kit to ship. It is a completely free pattern. We will reveal more information beforehand. It is a mystery. Jocelyn designed it, Nova pieced it, and Joanna Marsh quilted this. This more information will be coming, but I just wanted to let you know that we are pre-selling the kit. I wouldn't miss out on it. We have another free event coming up that the quilt sold out of. We're not showing it because of that. So just, you know, if you like Halloween, you'll like this. And it's this year, we alternate between fall, Halloween, I think, but this year's definitely Halloween. Now, big, huge thank you to Teresa. She came, one of our staff, Jessica, just had a baby, and so we had a baby shower. And at the baby shower, she had made all these cute things, and I was like, wait a minute. I need to show these. So we just released videos. This is the quick and easy flannel burp cloth. This is the cute drawstring bag from Half a Yard and it has a French seam. And then this is the Minky Square Bear. So these are new videos on our channel, so I hope you watch them. And I'm going to show you, I'm going to take a drink of my drink real quick. I'm going to show you some new quilts now. This is the 9-patch Trails quilt kit. There is a free video on how to make the 9 patches, the rail fence, and the square and square blocks, but now we have the kit in stock. It is a free pattern. The fabric is Antoinette by French General. And we have the quilt kits in stock now. And just so you guys know, if you ever are looking for like a really nice cream or a nice reproduction type color that's not white, French General's favorites are really great. Those SKUs start with $13,529, and those are great to add to quilts like that. This is a video tutorial called "This Quilt is Anything But Basic. Basics Build a Beautiful Quilt." And you can see it's just 3 basic units that you put together. This next quilt is the same fabric collection, and you wouldn't be able to tell at first because we used the French General favorite navy for the background. And this is the Jolly Bar kit. So this is called the Parisian Quilt Kit. Like I said, Antoinette by French General, and it uses a dark from the French General favorites. This one was designed by Angel, pieced by Brenda, and quilted by Joanna Marsh. This is Every Heart Beats True Wall Hanging featuring Old Glory by Layla Boutique. It is 34 inches square. No, it's not. It's 34 by 54. It's a Jolly Bar pattern designed by Angel, pieced by Kona, and quilted by Joanna Marsh. And really cute. This is one of my favorite Jolly Bar patterns we've ever done, actually, because I love that it uses so much of the backgrounds. And this is the Old Glory collection. So I love that there are enough backgrounds to create this stripe, but I love this and I want to make it. Then, just to tease you, we filmed a video yesterday on how to make a pillowcase using a French seam. I'm going to take no credit. Teresa came up with all the measurements, and she stood right next to me while I stitched this to show you how to make it. So this is a video you can look forward to in March. And I need to make some pillowcases for my kids. Okay, so now I'm going to just start showing you new fabrics that have come in, and then I'm going to answer questions. So if you have any questions, I would start throwing them in now. For the French General Jolly Bar, what color thread was used to quilt it? We're going to look. I think it's navy. No, the navy one. Let me see it. We'll put it on the table. Let's show you. Sorry. Okay. So it's a gray, dark gray. And then that's how it looks on the front. And that's how it looks on the back, and it's the same thread on the front and the back. It's a dark gray. Okay, so this came in, and I bought one. So before it sells out, I bought it. This is the Hatchery Hack Runner Kit. It features the Springs in Town fabric collection by Sandy Gervais, and the pattern included in here is by Sandy Gervais. Now I think it has a layer cake in it is what I think is in here. I'm gonna starch and I'm just gonna figure out how to make this work, hoping there's enough fabric in there. Thank you to the Bathola for the super chat. And this also has a backing set, so I also bought that. Oh, here it is. Look how cute it is. I love it. I'm so excited to make it. And I need to start decorating for Easter. This is Chickadee Landing by Kansas Troubles Quilters for Moda. And she has been a designer with them longer than I've been in business, so at least probably 25 years. Vintage by Sweetwater came in stock, and I'm going to show you the fabrics. I have a huge, one secret stash that I have is I have this huge stack of Sweetwater fabrics from like 10 years, just random stuff. And I decided one day I'm going to make me a Sweetwater quilt where I mix all of her collections or their collections. And I think it's going to just be something that I do for fun at some point, because I have a stash of stuff that needs to be cut up. But, you know, I love the feel of this. And this one right here is the fabric that was used on that pillowcase that I just showed you. So I might have said that wrong, but the pillowcase I used had this. I don't know if I said it wrong. So, really cute. Yeah, and I love that you guys are asking questions because I love to answer them. So that is vintage. That arrived yesterday, actually. This is Ridgewood by Minnick & Simpson. And this is a really nice red. I do have a lot of red, white, and blues from Minnick & Simpson kind of stored away. And at one point I did make a scrappy quilt from them. So Minnick & Simpson, you can always kind of mix and match. And then this is kind of a taupey color. One of our lights went out. So if the light's not great. And then these are the backgrounds. So that's Ridgewood by Minnick & Simpson. This is Antoinette by French General, and this is the one that I showed you 2 quilts in. And just by changing that one background, you can get a totally different look. This is Imaginary Flowers by Gingerbread. I'm gonna show you all the fabrics. And I did make some scrappy blocks out of this that you probably have seen. So this I would say is kind of like a gold yellow. It's reading a little bit more green on the screen than it is. It's more of a gold. I feel like green is that color who like always reads funny on the camera. So Imaginary Flowers by Gingerbread. And she has a really cute website if you've never checked it out. She does a lot of stationery. She has like a towel club on her site where you can get a hand towel each month. She's got a lot of cute stuff going on. I'm resisting the urge to join the towel club because there's a little comment in my house that I have too many towels and too many pillows, and I'm tired of listening to my children, and Kevin told me that. So I'm trying to cut back, which means I'm really not. This is Julia by Crystal Manning, and I'm going to show you these fabrics. These are very primary-ish colors. This one's really cute. So again, Imaginary Flowers by, oh, Julia. by Crystal Manning. This one's really pretty too. This one's it's like mushrooms and recipes and chickens. So of course I love the pinks and the reds. And the yellows is kind of a, you know, it's definitely a 1950s vibe. And I did want to mention, follow us on social media because we're, Kate and Angel are at QuiltCon. And I saw a quilt yesterday that I about died. It is Dolly Parton, and I would pay a lot of money to have that quilt. I would pay so much money to have that quilt and hang it upstairs on this wall. So whoever made that Dolly Parton quilt, it is amazing. I don't know if it won anything, but I loved it. I was like, oh my gosh. This is Meadow Star by Alexia Abig. Ruby Star Society. Did y'all just hear Jordan talking? Okay, these are blacks, and these are salvages that are designed so that you could use them in something. And this is really cool. This is like a granny square. Jordan, we can hear you. Jordan's been kind of spicy this week, so we're just messing with him. I can hear you too, Denise. Y'all are crazy. So this is kind of a 1950s vibe also. This is the 70s vibe, maybe. So again, Meadow Star, Ruby Star Society. This one is, would be really cool as a tote bag. Oh, this is, yeah, they fold these different. These are fat quarters, even though they look like half yards. And then these are all the same, I think, on different backgrounds. This is American Beauty by Danny Mogstad for Riley Blake Designs. And it is an Americana, but also has a touch of country blue. So it's, to me, I think this could work either way. Oh, okay, I know why they're talking, because I'm driving them crazy because I'm undoing these bundles. So it's me that's driving them crazy because they have to put them back together. But you guys, I have gotten so many comments. I really do read everything that you guys put on there. And y'all like when I open these fabrics, which I think is absolutely crazy. Because I was like, oh, I'm going to open these fabrics. People are going to say it's stupid, but you guys love it. So that's why I do it. So Jordan, you can blame them. This one's really cute. This is Amanda Castor for Riley Blake Designs. It's called Sunshine and Sweet Tea. Okay. And this one, it does not have metallic, but it does have the look of metallic because I looked at it up close. So it kind of looks like metallic here, but it's not. Because sometimes her collections sometimes have metallic. That's why I looked. So again, Sunshine and Sweet Tea. And cute little mason jars. And this is a nice gray. that is, it's basically a graphite color, very similar to pencil lead. This is Let It Bloom by Little Forest Atelier for Riley Blake Designs, which means I have no idea how to say that. And this is definitely a green. It's reading black, but it is not. It is green. It's a forest green, darker than forest green. Pinks, purples. Here's the purples for all you purple lovers. And this is also a dark green. It's just a different shade. This one's black, this one's green, these two are green. Kim Deal just came out with a new collection that's very different. It's nothing like any of the collections she's ever done before. It's called Tranquility, and these are the fabrics. They are all the same print in different colors. And so this would be a quilt that would look really great if you just, and we do have a pattern designed by her that we've shown. This is one of those collections that looks good if you just mash it up and you don't have a background, because then you just see colors, more like you kind of get like the rainbow effect of that. And so it goes all the way from, so this is brown, burgundy, teals, and then this is another brown. This is more of a taupe. Tranquility by Kim Deal. This is Boomerang by Jane. This is Boomerang by Jane. No, it's not. Yes, it is. Oh, Bloomerang. Okay, sorry. I was like, why is he shaking his head at me? Bloomerang by Jane. I can't say it. Jane Shasky. Lord, I'm gonna get it right. Sorry, I butchered that. So this is Henry Glass, and it's definitely hydrangeas. I think I at least know that. Oh, and then this is a stripe that you could put on a border or end of a table runner, or this is not the only purple collection. This is the panel. So it's 23 inches wide, and then this could be used for a border. There are 2 squares and then a bigger square. So there's 3 squares, 2 smaller, 1 bigger, with the bird, and then the same border stripe on the bottom. The second purple collection is called Camille. It is a flower house collection. I'm gonna get this off somehow. Okay. So this is purple, deeper purples. P Happy says that I'm enabling all of you. Y'all, I'm enabling myself. Do you know how many times I'm like, oh, I gotta have that, and then I never make it. And I will say one thing about green and purples like this, we have sold these since we started the company, and they have never stopped selling. So there aren't many green and purple lines, but when there are, they sell. It's kind of like, what's that Dos Equis line? When there's not. Y'all don't know? Oh my gosh. Okay, it sounds like that. I just made it up. This is Bees and Flowers Artisan Boutiques. I'm trying to make it where we can put it back. Maybe we won't be able to. Bees and Flowers Artisan Boutiques, Lund Studios for Robert Kaufman Fabrics. And so these are big, huge sunflowers. And this is, it does read a little limey, just so you know. So lots of shades that you're going to get here of greens and yellows. You know, your shade here does not match your shade here, if that makes sense. Bees and Flowers. This is called Graceful. It's an artisan boutique collection by Lund Studios. This one was already messed up, so you can't blame me on this one. That one was already messed up. Okay, this is, like I said, Graceful. And then thank you, Mimi, for your comment. This is kind of Eastery. Let's open one and see what it looks like. Flowers? Fleur-de-lis? I'm not sure. So this one looks like it's going from aqua to purple to lavender. This collection is called Fruit Cup. It is by Michelle Clemen for Robert Kaufman Fabrics. And this one is really very, I love like the texture of it. It doesn't have a texture, but it has that modeling when you look at it up close, if that makes sense. So it's kind of got a little vintage flair to it. Little cherries, bananas. Seascape Boutiques by Hoffman Fabrics. And we have a wonderful Hoffman Fabrics Boutique Fat Quarter Club that we have been doing for probably 15 years. And it is one of our more popular Fat Quarter clubs. I think it's the second most popular. And this is one of those that was featured in that club. We have a new collection by Pam Buda for Marcus Brothers, and her collections always do really well. This is called Peacemakers, and her fabrics are 1800s reproductions, so they're going to be that traditional 1800s colors. Colors and designs. This is green, it's not reading green. Brown. It's funny what cameras and lights and stuff does. This has got a little bit of green and blue in it. That's Peacemaker's Sampler. And then from Camelot, we have Alice in Wonderland 3. And so this is a higher price point because it comes from Canada, just so you guys know why it's so expensive. It also has a minimum advertised policy on it, meaning we cannot sell it under a certain price. Bear Hugs is the last collection that I'm going to show you today. It's by QT Fabrics, and it's called the Morris Creative Group. Now, Kevin bought this collection. He liked it. he loves any kind of teddy bears. He loves Halloween and any kind of teddy bears. So he saw this and was like, we have to buy it. And I was like, all right, let's buy it. And it has cute little stripes of different bears. And the hearts are really cute. So this is Bear Hugs. Okay, now I'm going to answer questions. I'm going to take a little drink real quick. Vicky asks, do I starch my binding and my backing? I do. I used to, like I would say about 5 years ago, I was kind of, sometimes I would do the backing and sometimes I wouldn't, but now I just do all of them. Margaret asks, I accidentally caught the very tip of a finger with a rotary cutter. I'm wondering, of all the years you've been quilting, have you had any injuries or accidents? No, but now you're jinxing me. But no, I have not. And I think I'm just probably lucky. One thing I do try to do is if I'm not in a good mood, I try not to sew. That's why I was so mad at myself when I did that glue thing. Because I was like, I knew I shouldn't have done it. Because I just got frustrated. So just... yeah. And I, probably part of it, I love to cut. I could just cut quilts and never piece. That's why my daughter's now piecing all the paper piecing, because she can do it and she's fast and she says it's therapeutic. I was like, oh, that's good. For Lori Holt's Sunburst quilt, will the color blocks Lori provided be available to print out? Yes, they are linked in the blog post on the Jolly Jabber. Ilsa says, how many Jolly Bars do we need to do the flag? We're going to look real quick. Now that pattern only comes in the Jolly Bar. It can't be bought separately. We're going to look real quick and see what it says. It'll say it on the kit. Two Jolly Bars are included in that kit. So in that kit, 2 Jolly Bars. Can you suggest an off-white that doesn't have yellow to go with B dots? C14175. I would email customer service. I would say probably a B background or a B cross stitch would be what I would go with instead of a regular background. Tisha asks, have you had starch leave a brown residue on your ironing board? If so, what do you do about it? Yes, but not anymore. Okay, so what I do not starch on the ironing board I actually use to iron. I have a cheap ironing board from Walmart that's in a bathroom. And on that, I put Kona or Bella down, or just leftover fabric I'm not using. I put that down, so I save the cover. I spray as evenly as I can so I don't get spots in my fabric. That's also hard to do. Then I let it dry. Don't ever put your iron on wet starch because it will turn brown and then you will have brown fabric. Ask me how I know. Would I say that all of Bonnie and Camille's fabric lines could be used together? Yes, some of the ones from the very, very beginning days wouldn't, but I think all of them now would. Okay, so thank you so much for watching. We have had a great Friday. Make sure you watch next Friday, and I'll see you again real soon. And if you have any tips for me, like, you know, tell me what you like about my videos. Tell me what you don't like, and so that I can always be changing them up and making them fresh and making them where you guys want to keep watching. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you soon.